The Burning City. Chapter 1. The Spark. In the heart of Elaria, a vibrant city pulsing. With the rhythm of life, the air was filled with the scent of spices, the sounds of laughter, and the promise of another bustling market day. Yet, beneath this surface of camaraderie and prosperity, a darkness was brewing. The streets once, teeming with friends and family, would soon become harbingers of chaos. Adara, a young woman of 20, wandered the market stalls with her friend Elias. With rich black hair framing her face, she moved through the crowd with determination, her sharp green eyes glancing at everything around her. Elias, taller and broader, was her closest confidant, a man who always seemed to find trouble in the most mundane of tasks. "Did you hear about the fires in the north quarter?" he asked, his voice tinged with concern. "They're just rumors," Adara replied, though a knot of unease formed in her stomach. "We've had fires before. More likely that they're just trying to keep us scared." As they approached the vibrant stall of old Maris, who sold fragrant spices and exotic goods, a sudden rush of wind swept through the market. Shouts erupted from the direction of the north quarter, their tone urgent and panicked. People began to scatter, instinctively running from whatever horror awaited. Chapter 2. The Inferno. The sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting shadows that danced ominously along the streets. Adara and Elias pressed onward, drawn by a curiosity they couldn't quite name. As they arrived at the edge of the north quarter, a sight met their eyes that would haunt them forever. Flames licked the sky, devouring wooden structures. The heat billowed like a beast awakened from slumber, crackling and hissing in a cacophony of chaos. The screams of terrified citizens echoed amidst the roar of the fire. "No," Adara gasped, her heart racing. "We need to help." Elias grabbed her arm, attempting to pull her back as panic coursed through the throngs of people. "Are you mad? We can't go. In there." But something deep within Adara stirred. The people needed help. The thought of turning away was unbearable. With a determined nod, she broke free from Elias's grasp and sprinted toward the flames. Chapter 3. The Cloaked Figure. As they navigated through the frantic crowd, Adara caught a glimpse of a cloaked figure, moving with unnatural grace through the chaos. The figure seemed to guide flames rather, then flee from them, manipulating the chaos as if it were a dance. "Wait!" she shouted, but the figure slipped between the buildings and disappeared. "Forget the figure," Elias shouted, grabbing her again. "We need to help those trapped. They're in danger." Together, they made their way to a home that was still intact, but surrounded by fire. A family was stranded on the second floor, there, cries filling the air with despair. Adara climbed through the back with Elias, and together they moved toward the terrified family. "Follow us," she urged. One by one they helped the family down, the flames licking closer as they hurried through the smoke and debris. Chapter 4. The Aftermath. Hours later, as dawn began to break, the raging fire had been subdued, but the damage left in its wake was heart-wrenching. The north quarter was a blackened ruin, with ash falling, like snow from the still smoldering structures. Survivors huddled together, their faces painted with despair. Adara and Elias helped where they could, distributing water and blankets to those in need. Yet, as they moved through the ghostly remnants of their once thriving neighborhood, the image of the cloaked figure lingered in Adara's mind. Who were they, and what had they done? "Elias," she said hesitantly as they took a moment to catch their breath. "Did you see that figure? They were controlling the flames." "I didn't see anything but destruction," he replied, shaking his head. "We need to focus on helping our friends and finding shelter." Chapter 5. The Discovery. Weeks passed, yet the city struggled to recover from the devastating fire. Adara and Elias volunteered tirelessly, but the sorrow weighed heavily upon them. One evening, Adara stumbled upon a crumpled flyer while cleaning up a makeshift shelter. It spoke of a secret meeting at the old watchtower. What if they know something about the fire? Adara mused aloud, her heart fluttering, with a mix of hope and dread. "I don't think it's a good idea," Elias warned, but he could see the determination etched on her face. The flames had awakened something within her, pushing her to seek the truth. That night, they made their way to the old watchtower. Inside, a small group of people gathered, murmurs of anxiety filling the air. Adara's eyes widened as she recognized some familiar faces, fellow survivors, those who had witnessed the fire's wrath. As they shared their stories, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman draped in a dark cloak, her features obscured. The room fell silent. Adara's breath caught in her throat. "I know why the fires were set," the woman began, her voice low and steady. "And I can help stop them." Chapter 6. The Truth Unveiled. The cloaked woman introduced herself as Seraphine. She revealed that the fires had been no accident. They were part of a greater scheme devised by a rogue faction. A rebellion aimed at tearing down the ruling class in Elaria and establishing a new order, one that thrived on chaos. "But what do they want?" Elias asked. Disbelief etched on his face. "Power," Seraphine replied. "They believe that by destabilizing the city they can overthrow the rulers and seize control." Adara felt a pang of realization hit her. The burning city was not merely a tragedy. It was part of a violent game for power that sought to consume everything she held dear. "The figure I saw," she began. "They were controlling the flames." Seraphine nodded knowingly. "There are those among us who can harness the elements. We call them the fire-touched. They are key to the faction's plans, and they must be stopped." Chapter 7. The Plan. The air buzzed with tension as Seraphine laid out a plan to infiltrate the rogue faction. Adara volunteered without hesitation. Though fear thrummed through her being, the weight of the Daunt city's suffering pushed her forward. Elias, after much deliberation, joined her side, unwilling to let her face this uncharted territory alone. Over the next few weeks they trained under Seraphine's watchful eye, learning the ways of fire and shadow. Each lesson fueled Adara's determination, her confidence growing as she found new depths within herself. "Together, we can expose the rebellion," Seraphine said during one evening meditation. "But we must move swiftly. They'll strike again, and we need to be prepared." Chapter 8. The Confrontation. The day came when the rogue faction planned to ignite another inferno as a distraction for an audacious theft of the city's treasury. With a heavy heart, Adara and Elias crept into the heart of their enemy's base, a hidden lair deep within the ruins of the old quarter. As they navigated through the shadows, the flicker of flames illuminated their path, revealing the cloaked figure they had seen that first night. It was chaos amidst order, and the fires danced around them like a living force, obedient to its master. "What are you afraid of?" the figure taunted, lifting their hands to summon a wall of flame. "All of Elaria shall burn." Adara's heart raced, but she wouldn't be cowed. "We won't let you," she shouted, stepping forward, her hands trembling against the heat. Elias backed her up without hesitation. "We will fight for our city." With that, A battle erupted. The flames roared and twisted, shifting wildly as Adara and Elias faced down the cloaked figure and their fire touched. Allies. The fire crackled and surged, but Adara could feel the pulse of it, the rhythm responding to her resolve. Chapter 9. The Unraveling. Victory tasted bittersweet as the rogue faction was. Quelled, but the true cost settled heavily in their hearts. They managed to extinguish the flames summoned against them and watched as their enemies fled. The city would heal. Adara was sure of it. The fires that had threatened to engulf Elaria were now nothing but ashes. But the cloak had fallen from their enemy, revealing a face Adara never expected. A former leader, one who had promised change and fought for the people. Betrayal cut deep as she realized the darkness could hide behind any mask. Chapter 10. A New Dawn. Months passed, and Elaria began to recover. The struggle against the rogue faction had united the city, rebuilding not just the structures, but the spirit of its people. Adara and Elias became champions of this new era, dedicating themselves to rebuilding what had been lost and ensuring such chaos never surfaced again. As she stood on a newly constructed balcony overlooking the city, the sun rising in a brilliant wash of color, Adara reflected on how far they had come. The ashes of the past would always linger, but amidst the pain, a fiercer resilience had sparked to life. Together, she whispered. Elias's hand. We will keep our city safe. And as the dawn washed over Elaria, it promised hope, an emboldened spirit rising from the ashes of the burning city. The end.